And also, they spoof Oz so well in Another Teen movie. Like, there's that sensitive guy. He's like, dude, stop. No. Stop it, man. Because Oz he does get annoying half the time in this movie.
As 90s kids, American Pie was the hallmark comedy for our childhood. It's raunchy, it's offensive, but it's also full of really good life lessons about relationships, about sex education, and surprisingly meaningful things in there.
Was this the best movie for 10-year-olds to watch? No. Did we?
Yes.
And this was the kind of movie that you would go to your friend's house and we put on American Pie, or we'd watch it with our brothers. So
was this on all the time in the house?
This was on all the time.
This one was.
But this movie, I haven't seen it in so long, so long, because it obviously hasn't aged well. Some of it, but some of it has aged pretty well.
I would say there's really just one main sequence that hasn't aged well.
It wasn't as bad as I thought it was going to be on this rewatch, because I think the last time I watched it was maybe I had to have been late teens. It's been that long since I've seen the film. Because, I mean, it's an awesome movie, and it's a part of our like childhood in a way, but it's not like the best comedy. It's not like I wouldn't put it in the top 15 comedies of even that decade, but it's still very funny. The characters are quite memorable, but the movie, as offensive as it can be, it actually is kind of sweet, and it does have some pretty decent romance. It's got some good music from the 90s. Anyone who grew up in the 90s is going to recognize a lot of the music.
Banging soundtrack.
However, there's a musical score that is absolute garbage. It might be the worst score ever made for a movie. And it feels just like a studio executive was like pushing buttons on a pad of like, all right, sad music, happy music,
corny acoustic melody,
romance music. It's that bad, but the soundtrack is pretty awesome.
American Pie came out in 1999, directed by Paul Weitz and Chris Weitz brothers, written by Adam Hertz. The story centers on 5 high school seniors and friends from fictional East Great Falls, Michigan. Jim Levinstein, an awkward and sexually naive nerd whose dad offers him pornography and awkward sexual advice. Chris Ozstreicher, an overconfident star of the lacrosse team. Kevin Myers, the calm leader of the group, seeking to lose his virginity with his girlfriend Vicky. Paul Finch, a mochaccino drinking sophisticate. And Steven Stifler, a popular but raucous jock who often throws wild parties and is the only one of the 5 who is not a virgin. When dorky classmate Sherman claims that he lost his virginity at a party hosted by Stifler, Kevin prompts Oz, Finch, and Jim to join him in making a pact. They pledge that they will lose their virginity by high school graduation and prom. Rotten Tomatoes, American Pie is a 61% critic score and 61% audience score with over 250,000 ratings.
I agree with that, yeah.
IMDb, it's a 7.0 with 426,000 ratings. Letterboxd, it's a 3.1 with 250,000 ratings. On a budget of $11 million, American Pie grossed $235 million at the box office, and it runs at just 95 minutes.
It beat Wild Wild West in its opening weekend.
Did it really?
So Wild Wild West lost to American Pie. It was a sleeper hit. It also, do you know how many American Pie movies there are?
7?
There's 8 American Pie movies, and Eugene Levy is in every single one of them.
No, he isn't. He's not in one of them.
He's in 8 of them.
He's in every single one?
He's in every single one.
I thought there was one that Eugene isn't, because we have, obviously, like the main cast. They have American Pie 2, American Wedding, and then American Reunion, which was like the last one in 2012 that they're all in.
With their whole main cast, yeah.
But then there are the spinoffs. We have American Pie Presents Band Camp, The Naked Mile, Beta House, The Book of Love, and
It kind of
Girls'
became
Rules.
like a National Lampoon's kind of franchise.
Exactly.
Where it's like National Lampoon's presents this different kind of cast in a different location of this style of comedy.
Do you know how much money at the box office this franchise has grossed?
Over $1 billion.
$989 million.
Oh, damn. So even what's interesting is none of them are really that good at all, except for the first one. A couple of the sequels they're pretty good. They
I
have
like
good
the
moments.
second one. The second one, that's the one where they're at like the beach house, right?
Yeah, they're building a house. They're fixing it up. I think they're in college.
Are they building? No, they're not building.
They're fixing it up.
Yeah, they're not like laying the foundation.
They're not
of a house.
building a house.
Like the house is
I corrected myself. They're fixing it up. Okay.
They're building a house from scratch. They got a bunch of 2x4s and nails from Home Depot.
That's exactly what it is. But so American Reunion, with the last one with the main cast, that still made $240 million.
Holy crap.
$240 million for a comedy in 2012.
Did it really?
Yes. Massive hit. So you can see why this franchise kept, pushing them out. And Eugene Levy, I love him, and he really rode the wave, and I think it really helped pay the bills for a long time for him.
Probably. He wasn't in a ton of stuff for a little while besides this, but everyone knew him as Jim's dad.
Yeah, exactly. And I think the cast is perfectly cast as the characters. Some of the actors are really good. Some of the actors are pretty mid. I would say that for watching scenes with Thomas Ian Nicholas and Tara Reid is a struggle.
So Thomas plays Kevin.
Kevin, like the leader of the group, and neither of them can act very well, and just they share like 4 pretty long scenes together. It's just like it's cringing watching them act together. But then you see Jason Biggs is perfectly cast. Allison Hannigan is amazing. I love Natasha Lyonne. She's probably my favorite character in the whole movie. She's really fantastic. Eugene Levy is another great character in the film. But I would say out of all the cast and characters, honestly, Jessica, played by Natasha Lyonne, is my favorite character because she's a voice of reason. Everybody in this film is so stressed about sex, and that's what it's like when you're a teenager. Before you ever do it, you're so stressed about, like, it's this big thing. It has to be right. It has to be with the right person. But Jessica's like, it's just sex. It's like it's not rocket science. It's just it's so unimportant. Wait until you do it, then you realize, oh, it was really nothing.
That's the point. And that's the thing with this movie is a lot of high school movies, some of them are centered around like the cliques and kind of being cool. But then other ones, the crude sexual ones, I wouldn't even put this as too much of a crude humor movie. There's really only 2 main sequences of crude, gross out humor with the beer and then Finch in the bathroom. Besides that, there's not much over the top gross out humor, but this one's focused on kids losing their virginity. That's something that we go through in adolescence going into adulthood that we're all focused on. We're teenagers. Our hormones are going crazy. We're just also so worried about the perception of going off to college, becoming an adult, turning 18 and not having lost our virginity, which there's nothing wrong with, but in the 90s and the 80s, there's a lot of pressure on high schoolers to do this. And the rest of the cast is great. Besides Jason Biggs, Chris Klein as Oz, again, Thomas Ian Nicholas as Kevin, Jennifer Coolidge as Stifler's mom, who's had a huge resurgence the last 5 years with TV, Shannon Elizabeth as Nadia, Allison Hannigan as Michelle, Clyde Kusatsu as the English teacher. We don't have to bring. He's got a small role. Eugene Levy.
Who doesn't remember the English teacher?
Clyde.
What the fuck?
I'm just going through IMDb, baby. Eugene Levy, Jim's dad, Natasha Lyonne, Chris Owen as Sherman, the Shermanator, Tara Reid as Vicky, Mana Suvari as Heather, who was killing it in 1999. She's in American Pie and American Beauty, which was the Best Picture winner that year. Sean William Scott as Stifler is one of the best characters of 90s comedy in general. Eddie K. Thomas as Finch, who's really solid in this movie.
Yeah.
And that rounds out the main cast.
Sean William Scott blew up as Stifler, and he had the biggest career for 10 years out of the entire cast. And he's a scene stealer, and he plays an asshole, but like he's like a high school asshole that everybody knows. It's not so much he's a bully. He does like tease people, and he's an asshole. He's a dick to people. But he's not like, I'm gonna beat you up kind of bully. You know what I mean? And it's a different kind of a high school asshole that we would normally see in these movies.
The thing with this cast and the characters in general just feels really authentic and true to what high schoolers are like. There's no one like getting stuffed in lockers, the cliche stuff.
I never saw that in high school, but
Not
I would see it in
once.
every single high school movie. I'm like, I've never seen someone get pushed and thrown into a locker
It was
by
more
a bully.
of just someone being a douchebag, saying
Exactly.
mean things. There's like a jerk at school, but the thing with American Pie is the characters are so well cast and so well, fleshed out to an extent that they all feel real. They all feel like somebody you knew in high school or even in college. They all have their little unique things. They're either nerdy or a little dorky or jockey, but not overdone like so many high school movies are. And I think Stifler's Party, the first one in the movie, is a great like kind of introduction to just high schoolers, what they really are like. And the cast, it's not a bunch of super attractive models like we get with every high school TV show or high school movie these days. They're all just solid actors.
They look like real people.
They they're cast so well. I mean, several of them went on to have huge careers, but they're not just like the most attractive person that could be possibly found for this role. They're just they just feel like people because they're just normal people like all of us. And
you could actually see acne on some of them.
Yeah.
It was actually kind of refreshing. I took that away when I watched it because I'm used to nowadays everyone just looks like an Instagram model or like a fashion model, and they're being cast in all the roles. And I'm like, it takes you out of the reality. They don't even look like a real community of kids. This movie, obviously, some of the actors are a little older, but not actually that old. The oldest actor is John Cho in this movie, and he's 26 in this movie.
Everyone's in their late teens or early 20s.
So actually, some of them actually were still teenagers. So I think they did a good job casting, but they just look like real kids. They don't look like they've had Instagram. They don't look like they walk runways. They don't look like they have perfect bodies. You know what I mean? They feel authentic.
I think since Allison Hannigan's in this movie, and obviously she's in the great sitcom How I Met Your Mother, then we have the sort of remake with How I Met Your Father that came out. It's already canceled. That show I watched a couple scenes of, and I was totally out of it because everyone on that show, even if you look at the posters and billboards, it's just a bunch of models. Hilary Duff is very gorgeous, but I'm not saying that the original cast aren't a bunch of very attractive people as well. But it seems like a lot of casting directors and shows and studios, they just care about the most attractive people to put in roles. But How I Met Your Mother was so successful for so many years. That show ran for like 8 seasons or something like that because it's just a bunch of really great actors and people that seem authentic to real life versus who's the best looking person who has a huge Instagram following we can put to get people to watch this show. No one really cares about that stuff. We want real people that seem authentic to reality. And I think that's why American Pie, when it comes to high school movies, high school comedies, this one is pretty timeless. Of course, there's a few things that aged horribly, but overall, it has a bunch of great sequences of high school interaction as well as life lessons. You know, as much as there is like the kind of, like, you could say, locker room talk or the male gaze fantasy of these guys just obsessing over girls. That's what a lot of guys are like in teenage years. But that doesn't mean that women and girls don't love this movie as well, because I can tell you for a fact, I know that they do.
There's actually quite a lot of, putting men in their place and showing them for how dumb they can be and behaving at times. Like Oz's scene with the girl he's trying to date who's from college, and he acts like a total dick, and she calls him out on it, and she's like teaching him about, it's
suck me, beautiful.
Yeah, exactly. It's like, what a ridiculous thing to say, because he's an idiot and he's a guy and he doesn't know what he's doing. This is his first time ever talking to a girl legitimately, and she didn't
go on Twitter and cancel him.
Exactly. She pretty much put him in his place, and she's like, no, you have to respect a woman. This needs to be consensual. You can't just go out and scream things like this. And there are actually quite a number of scenes. And even when a guy is trying to humiliate a woman, they actually get their own in there. Like, they get humiliated. When guys act like horribly in this movie, they get embarrassed and they get showed up in this film.
Yeah, every one of the main characters when we're talking about Jim, Oz, Kevin, and Finch, they're trying to take advantage of girls because their goal is to lose their virginity. They're trying to have sex. And all 4 of them do really mean things to take advantage of the girl. So for Kevin, he's, sick of only getting to third base with Vicky. He doesn't want to say I love you yet. And he's just like, I'm tired of this. I need to have sex at some point. And he says that in front of a bunch of people, and she hears it. And so then he spends the rest of the film trying to get forgiveness for her to try to sleep with her. And then Jim does a terrible thing where he broadcasts Nadia in his bedroom on a webcam on the net. Yes, we did call it the net back then. That was the hip way of saying it.
It's not called the internet.
It's a terrible thing to do, to broadcast someone without their knowledge in a private space like this, especially if they're undressing.
Horrible.
On the internet. It's a terrible, terrible thing to do. However, he gets his own, because what happens to him, he gets completely humiliated in this scene. Even though he does a terrible thing putting a girl on the internet without her knowledge, he gets so humiliated that he's the laughingstock of the school. So he basically gets punished for his actions. Stifler, he's trying to take advantage of this young girl at the party. He's lying to her. She says, I'm just going to be another girl you tell all your friends about. And he's like, no, I would never do that. Never about that. And he's just trying to get in her pants real quickly. What happens to Stifler? He drinks beer that's filled with semen. So everyone kind of gets their own. Oz obviously gets his punishment as well. So everyone gets punished for trying to take advantage of girls in this film.
And ultimately, I mean, it doesn't. I wouldn't say it gets deep, but this is a testament to Paul and Chris Weitz. They're actually pretty solid directors. They made About a Boy with Hugh Grant, which is a really sweet movie about a guy who takes in a kid. And Chris Weitz actually, he made Twilight Saga: New Moon. He made the Golden Compass adaptation. With Nicole Kidman, you know what I'm talking about. Yeah. So he did that film, and so he's done quite a lot of big studio movies. And Paul Weitz has less of a big career as director, but they both produce and write. And so Chris Weitz actually helped write Rogue One. They both produced The Farewell, the A24 film. So, and Chris White's also made A Better Life, which is a really great film about Mexican immigrant trying to raise his son in America and just doing what he can to get by. So they both have careers with really incredible films on their filmography that have a lot to say about people, about humanity, about culture and things. So they're very smart directors. So watching this again last night, I was like, wait, it's the Weitz brothers made this? But then it doesn't make sense because, like I said, it's not a deep movie, but there's some good moments in the movie. There's some good character beats. There's some good life lessons the kids learn. They obviously make lots of mistakes, but then ultimately, like, as the whole objective of the film is to get laid, they learn that it's about more than that, at least for some of them. You know what I mean?
That's all it is for Jim.
Yeah, that's all it is for Jim.
I got used.
And then Finch, yeah, he hooks up with the mom, but then like with someone like Kevin and Oz, they learn that it's not so much about having sex, but like, do you love the person you're with?
The thing with Kevin and Vicky, their relationship, I think, is the worst in the movie.
Same.
They just don't have any chemistry together on camera. But there's a great life lesson here with Kevin and Vicky, where all Kevin wants is to have sex, and all Vicky wants is to hear Kevin say, "I love you." And Kevin's not ready. It's a kind of a great mirror where Vicky wants the sex for the first time to be perfect, but then Kevin wants, when he says, "I love you," to be perfect. And they kind of like, oh, I realized I want the same thing, but I want a perfect version of it. But then they find out there's no such thing as perfection. And there's a great life lesson here and a moment of wisdom from Kevin's older brother, played by Casey Affleck.
Casey Affleck just comes out of nowhere.
I haven't seen this movie in so long. Casey Affleck comes on screen. Anthony and I are like, it's Casey Affleck. Are you kidding me? I always forgot that he was his brother in this movie. The voice just came back immediately. Casey's got that.
I always remember, I was like, that guy is cool.
He's got like that soft, raspy voice. They're eating sushi in a restaurant. Like, this is really cool.
This is an adult right here.
Sophisticated individual. This 23-year-old out of college eating sushi at a bar. Really cool, hip guy. And, Kevin, he wants to, it sounds to Casey, his older brother, that all Kevin wants to do is get in his girlfriend's pants. But what Kevin says, and he kind of gives him a question or poses him this test, like, is that all you really want, just getting your girlfriend's pants? And Kevin says, no, I want to reciprocate. I want to give her an orgasm back, basically. He's like, that's the right answer. You want to do something for her. It's not just about you. You've won the Bible, this secret book that's underneath the section at the library in the high school that gives you all the secrets of sexual mastery. So you deserve this book because your heart's in the right place, just like the movie. It can be crude. It can be gross out humor at times. And again, things that haven't aged well. But American Pie, its heart is in the right place.
I like the book. I think that it would have done better with some more book stuff.
Yeah, more
I
like
think
mythology.
I think it's a really funny thing in the movie that just comes out of nowhere. And if they got it in earlier and used some more bits of it in the story, I think it would have been fun.
It would have been good if Jim got his hands on the book, because Jim trying to do things with the book, or maybe flirting with girls, would have been really funny.
Well, I mean, speaking of, the most famous, the iconography of the movie is in its title, American Pie, and Jim having his way with an apple pie.
Jim's the most desperate of them all.
Like, what's it feel like? Like warm apple pie. And then Jim's like, really?
No, he goes, store-bought or homemade. And he's dead serious.
Jason Biggs is perfectly cast as this, like, he's a shy loner.
Oh, no, he says homemade or McDonald's.
Yeah. He's this shy, not a loner, but a loser, and he's had no luck with women.
Well, I wouldn't call him a loser because he's friends with Stifler. And Stifler's like the coolest guy in school.
Stifler's friends with Oz because Oz is the best player on the lacrosse team, and they're part of Oz's crew. So I wouldn't say he's really friends with Stifler.
But he's in the cool group.
Because especially in the sequels, like Stifler is reluctant to become friends with Jim, but then they do.
True, but I mean, he's in that inner circle. So he's going to parties and stuff, so he's part of like the cool crew to an extent.
But it's really Oz is the connective tissue for that.
Yeah.
That's why they're there, because they don't say it, but I imagine these four kids grew up together, and then Oz became such a good athlete that he's friends with another athlete jock in the school, Stifler. So that's why they go to the events. That's why they go to the parties, because Oz is like this cool jock.
I get that for sure.
But yeah, Jim is like, Jason Biggs is perfectly cast. Eugene Levy is perfectly cast. Their scenes together are always some of my favorites in the film. I love the scene when they hug in the hallway. They just keep patting each other's back.
When he's going to prom,
yeah,
he's like so proud.
He's like, who's the lucky lady? And Jim's like, It's Michelle. She must be special.
Jim's a great lead for this movie because we've kind of all been in this
I
place.
feel like Jim's the lead, but
He is
then
the lead.
Kevin's like the leader of the group. But I
He's
think,
the worst leader, though.
He's
But
terrible.
Jim's the lead of the movie. You know, he's the main character on the poster. He's the main character in the movie. We only see his home life. So he's clearly the lead of the movie.
Yeah.
And Jim, he is so desperate to have sex for the first time because it's more out of not being humiliated. He feels humiliated that he hasn't had sex yet in a lot of ways. He's so nervous about it. And it opens up with him he's experimenting with sex and he's watching this bad channel. So before we had, what we have for digital cable today, we had crappy cable receptions, and you could get like naughty channels on there if you kind of like hacked it correctly.
Now you can see, obviously, Superbad. Those writers, Evan Goldberg and Seth Rogen, drew from this film.
100%, yeah.
They improved upon this film, but this film, there's no Superbad without American Pie.
But Jim, he gets in so many situations of embarrassment in his home life that it reflects even more into his social life as well. But most of it happens at home with his father, with his parents. Like his parents, the opening of the scene is him masturbating to a porno, and his mom walks in. Oh, Jim, what are you watching? I'm just watching a nature documentary. Then his dad comes in. Oh, something wrong with the cable. He's like, I think you're watching a dirty movie. They lift up his robe, and he's got an erection inside of a tube sock. It's just like the most humiliating thing you could think of. Like the pie scene is one of the most humiliating things that could possibly happen. It's the warm apple pie thing. He comes home. On the counter is this warm apple pie his mother just made. Jim, your favorite warm apple pie. See you for dinner. And I have to say, one of the funniest moments I've ever seen in a comedy in general is when Jim sticks his fingers in the pie. Then we cut to his dad walking in the driveway. And I forgot how long the cut is.
Yeah.
The cut is to Jim on top of the counter, literally thrusting into the pie, his pants down. And he's like, oh, it's not what it looks like.
So they actually had a trouble with the MPAA to get an R rating.
Oh, it was NC-17?
So it was NC-17 because they originally filmed it with him doing 4 thrusts into the pie.
I wish they kept that.
But then the MPAA allowed an R rating when they trimmed it down to just 2 thrusts.
Can you imagine 4 thrusts into that pie? Oh my God.
And also, whenever I watch this movie, just like how Scream did a great job spoofing horror movies, not another teen movie did a great job spoofing a bunch of teen comedies, this being one of them. So they opened up that movie with Janie Briggs with the dildo in her bedroom, and her grandmother walks in, her whole family comes in.
It's a birthday cake, right?
Yeah, it's a birthday cake. It's just this. She's got this giant dildo that's going off,
And it falls in the cake and splatters everywhere. Yeah.
And then also they spoof Oz so well in another teen movie. Like there's that sensitive guy. He's like, dude, stop. No. Stop it, man. Because Oz he does get annoying half the time in this movie.
I have a bunch of great fun facts before we get more into the film. So Jason Biggs' fake erection, the opening of the film inside the tube sock, it was made from a foil-wrapped sausage stuck on a pencil.
Oh my God.
Sean William Scott, he was paid only $8,000 for his role in the original movie. And while before it came out, he was still working, I believe, as a waiter or a
So
full-time
he
job.
filmed this movie, and then he went back to waiting tables before its release. But then when it was released, he became a huge hit in Hollywood.
I would say he probably had the biggest career out of everybody in this movie.
For 10 years.
He's still doing stuff. But
Yeah.
Natasha Lyonne's had a great resurgence lately. She's got her own TV show. And then again with
Jennifer Coolidge just won an Emmy and a Globe. So Jennifer Coolidge is at the highest right now. But
Allison Hannigan with How I Met Your Mother was huge for a while too.
So some of them, like Hannigan and Sean William Scott, they had big 2000s.
Mena Suvari as well too. And then speaking of Stifler though, so the beer that he drank that had the semen in it from Kevin, it was egg it was egg whites.
Oh my God, that scene makes me gag.
And then how about with Michelle? Even though her character was an accomplished flutist, Allison Hannigan actually played clarinet in high school. The famous apple pie was purchased from a big chain. Do you know which one? Can you guess?
Costco?
Yes, it was
I love
Costco.
that Costco pie. I love Costco.
The original working title for American Pie was Unfinished Teenage Sex Comedy, which can be made for under $10 million that studio readers will most likely hate, but I think you will love. Eugene Levy, who played Jim's dad, threatened to quit if the director didn't let him improvise almost all of his lines. And they also almost got Bill Murray to play his dad, but I think Eugene Levy was perfect and, again, improvised pretty much everything he says.
Eugene's perfect. He's great.
Jason Biggs originally had a body double for the sex scenes, but the double was fired because he had a scar on his stomach, so Jason had to do all of them himself. Sean William Scott and Chris Klein were bad at lacrosse. Even after 3 weeks of practice prior to shooting, real lacrosse players were hired to double for the actors. And then there's a great cameo, a couple in this movie. Specifically, Blink 182 has a cameo during the webcam sequence when Jim is running between houses.
That guy's in my trig class.
Go trig boy.
Go
Get your
trig
freak
boy.
on. Blink 182, there's a cut scene of going to different parts of the high schoolers. It's the band that's rehearsing. That's Blink 182. Now, Travis Barker, the drummer of Blink 182, is in this shot, but he was wrongly cast in the credits as Scott Rayner, who's the former drummer of the band. And then there's another great cameo. Besides Blink 182, we have... Casey Affleck, I guess you could say, is a cameo now, but I guess not at the time. He was obviously in Good Will Hunting a few years before, in 1997.
I read that an actual Playboy Playmate was a cameo when the students are waiting outside the women's room when Finch walks out. She's one of them, laughing at
I
him.
wonder if anyone would have picked up on that.
I think Playmates back then were more famous.
Way more famous.
Than nowadays, because you can see so many women on the internet, but back then it was like you really had to just buy the magazine. So I think they had definitely more social clout.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah,
that's a good point.
Like people would know them by names.
Even though we had the net, again, there were like 17 websites.
The net, people keep saying the net in this movie, and that is really what it was at first called. Now we know it as the internet, but the net was used for several years before that popularized. And another thing that was popularized in this movie, so the term MILF was popularized in this movie. Now Jennifer Coolidge, Jennifer
John
Coolidge
Cho.
plays Finch's mom, plays Stifler's mom. John Cho, I would say, has the biggest career out of this entire cast.
He's up there for sure.
And he's just the MILF guy, one of the MILF guys. He's
And
just,
a singer in the
and a
choir.
choir singer. So, but this film, many people thought that this film invented the term MILF, but a website in 1995 called Usenet made a post that initially used the acronym. It was the first ever use of the term MILF. It predated this movie by 4 years. However, this film definitely popularized the term MILF. So MILF was not a used term before this movie, really.
And speaking of MILF, in terms of profanity in the movie, there aren't a bunch of curse words in this movie, if you think about it. There's only, like, really a handful, and they hit every time. Like when Michelle says, this one time at band camp, I shoved a flute up my pussy. I'm like, oh, shit, that came out of nowhere.
Yeah, you're right.
And then with MILF, with John Cho, he's like, the chick's a MILF. Mom, I'd like to fuck. I'm like, oh, crap, that came out of nowhere, too. So they really hit you with the profanity really well, but it's not overdone to an extent that it's just, like, overbearing.
It's funny. You think that term was older, but it's not.
I guess
like that
not.
was really the first time general audiences or in mainstream culture really used the term MILF ever.
There's a bunch of great music in this film as well. We have, obviously, Blink 182 has a song in this film that we were just talking about. Then we also have The Ventures have a song, Walk Don't Run, that plays when Finch runs to the bathroom when he's got diarrhea from Stifler putting laxative in his mochaccino.
That's probably the best needle drop. It works perfectly for the scene.
Bare Naked Ladies, their song 1 Week. It plays twice in the film, once during one of the party scenes and during the end of the film where Jim's dad watches Jim stripping at the webcam.
I thought they would end it because in the credits it changed when the credits rolled. They should have kept that song, I think.
True. Then we have Third Eye Blind has a song,
my God.
Semi-Charmed Life. It plays during the dog year scene after the party.
Third Eye Blind. Oh my God.
Everclear. They have a song,
Everclear.
Everything to Everyone. It's during a montage with Oz and Heather on the docks and Kevin and Vicky in the house. This is after prom night. And then we have Simon and Garfunkel. So you realize this movie was made by film buffs. There's a great Easter egg. So when Finch is trying to seduce Stifler's mom, walks into the little billiards room, the pool room, they have Mrs. Robinson playing, which is a great nod to The Graduate with Dustin Hoffman.
Now, this movie does get adulthood wrong completely because when I watched this movie as a kid, I thought that adults were sophisticated and talked like this. And then Finch, obviously they make him seem like he's more mature than other students by the way he dresses, the things he talks about, and his mochachinos. And then when he talks to Jennifer Coolidge, Stifler's mom, they're like drinking brandy. And I was like, I thought that's what adults did, but that's not at all what adults do whatsoever. So I think that obviously they went to the extreme, but to make him different from other kids, but they got adulthood completely wrong, I would say.
One of the best needle drops is when Nadia is in Jim's room, and he walks in and everyone's watching him, and they play Etta James At Last, because Nadia tells Jim to walk over to him, like, come here, Jim. It's so funny.
Oh my God, poor Jim. Well, he got what he deserved.
Yeah, he did.
He
like we
deserved that
said,
humiliation.
taking advantage of a girl, putting her on the internet, and what happens to Jim? He orgasms twice in his underwear while on webcam broadcast to everyone in high school by only touching Nadia.
Merely touching her.
So yeah, he got what he deserved.
Yeah, he got what
like
he
we
deserved.
say, they punish the guys for trying to take advantage of girls.
I'm still shocked that this, like, we didn't even think twice about it.
It was a different
Culturally,
time, you
yeah.
know. For comedy, comedy always goes through different changes and eras and subjective, what the audience can perceive as like this is
What is
acceptable,
this offensive?
acceptable
What
humor.
the line is moving.
That's what people have to
Yeah.
understand. There's a lot of context to eras and times. It's the 90s, man.
Yeah.
You could still get away with so many things. Everyone was fine with this kind of humor really back then.
Yeah.
And not saying that makes it acceptable, but with context, that's why this was in such a big movie and everyone found it hilarious.
So there's that is exactly right. And then also there's another glaring issue with this movie is completely lacking in diversity whatsoever. Like the main 12 people are white. So this movie, it completely showed that, Hollywood was lacking in diversity in a huge way. And this huge hit of a movie was an example of that because diverse culture, huge movie, no diversity at all. John Cho has the most lines as a person of color, and he's just screaming about a MILF the whole time. So
he's so funny, though.
But honestly, he's one of the best actors. He could be the best actor in the film, ironically.
He's up there for sure. I mean, Mena Suvari, again, she's in an Oscar-winning Best Picture movie with American Beauty the same year, so she's really talented. But I think the script is just, it can get kind of hallmarky daytime TV
It
drama.
does get cheesy as hell, for sure. It
Sometimes,
does.
specifically with some of the relationship stuff. But when it comes to Oz and Heather, played by Mena Suvari and
Chris Klein.
I think their relationship is the most endearing and the sweetest, and it actually makes me start to smile.
I agree.
By the end of the film,
there's a couple of very sweet scenes between them, and the actors have by far amongst the entire cast of couples, they blow everyone else out of the water in terms of chemistry. They actually do work well together, and some of the scenes are very sweet. The dialogue can be very soap opera-y, but they pull it off. And then sometimes the music supervisors, they chose the right song to play. And there's a couple of really, really touching moments. And they have by far the sweetest storyline. It ends on a high note. They are in a relationship and they are beginning to fall in love. And it's a great contrast to Kevin and Vicky, where Kevin's like, I don't know if I do love her. I don't know if I ever want to say it. Whereas Oz is like happily talking about it already. So I think that's the best relationship of the entire film.
And with Heather and Oz, this pact of the boys, we're going to lose our virginity. Prom is the night where we made this pact. Kevin's obsessed with it. And at the end of the film, after prom night, and they all do lose their virginity, they all do have sex. They're all talking about it, except for Oz says that they didn't have sex. And I think that's a great character moment for Oz because he doesn't want to spoil what he had just experienced with Heather. Even though he did, he lies and says they didn't. He said they just talked all night and cuddled. But really, they did have sex. But to him, it's more important than just losing your virginity with what he's experienced with Heather. So it's actually a really sweet kind of life lesson in relationship here.
Yeah, it is.
How about we go to our intermission?
Yeah.
And then we'll get back to American Pie because there's still so much to talk about. This raunchy comedy from 1999. But before we continue, the best way to support Raiders of the Lost Podcast is to become a patron at patreon.com/Raiders of the Lost Podcast. It's a subscription-based form of support. We have 5 different tiers of membership. Every single tier has access to a weekly bonus episode of the show, as well as the weekly chat, which is exclusively on Patreon now. We have different tiers that have awesome perks. Going up to the $5 tier, you get access to the ad-free experience of every single main episode of Raiders of the Lost Podcast, which you can also link with your Spotify and listen on Spotify ad-free. We also have a Discord where at the minimum $10 tier, you get access to. We have watch parties on there as well as communicating with you about film stuff all the time. And then $25, you get a private episode. $100 is the ultimate granddaddy tier. You get so many perks. I don't have time to name them off. You get free merch, private watch party, all kinds of things.
Oh, yeah.
Patreon helps us do this show full time. We couldn't do it without our supporters. Thank you so much to everyone who is a patron. Again, patreon.com/Raiders of the Lost Podcast. There's a link in the description of this episode. It's very clickable, very easy to find.
It's very clickable.
You can also support us by leaving those 5-star reviews on Spotify, Apple. They are essential to us getting seen by new people on the platforms and ranking and charting higher and higher on podcast lists, as well as we love to read out the 5-star written reviews that you can leave on Apple. Thank you so much to everyone who's left those. And also, the best way for a podcast to grow is to share us. Word of mouth is integral for a healthy podcast growth. Tell your family members, tell your friends, anyone who you know loves movies. Share our show with them. Put us in your Instagram stories, Twitter. We always reshare everything and repost everything. Thank you to everybody who supports the show every single day.
And of course, like always, I'm dying.
Like always.
Like always.
Did you have some of Stifler's beer?
Gross. I'm going to gag again. This episode is sponsored by our friends at movieposters.com, the #1 place to get your posters online today. Be sure to use our promo code Raiders10 to get 10% off your order right now. The holiday season is upon us. There's no better gift to get the movie lover in your life than a great movie poster from movieposters.com. Also, buy yourself a gift. Get yourself a poster. Be sure to use our promo code Raiders10. They're also doing a movie poster giveaway contest with us right now. If you'd like to enter into this contest, all you have to do is go to our YouTube channel and make a comment in the Tom Cruise movie draft episode. That will automatically enter you in a chance to win a free movie poster from movieposters.com. We're going to pick that winner later this week, so stay tuned for that. And in the meantime, for all of your poster needs, be sure to go to theamazingmovieposters.com and use our promo code Raiders10 right now to get 10% off your order.
All right, let's get into our intermission. Do you want to start with superlatives and then go into our movie trivia stuff?
Let's do superlatives.
All right, superlatives starting with Anthony in American Pie. Who is the MVP of the film?
Jason Biggs is the MVP.
Yes, he is.
He's perfectly cast. He's hilarious, and I love the Jim character.
In terms of the role with Jim, it's an embarrassing role to take on. You have to have a lot of confidence in yourself and to be put in humiliating situations like having sex with an apple pie on a counter and being humiliated by orgasming in your pants twice. So it's like a role that not everyone would want to do.
Yeah.
So I think that Jason Biggs did a great job, and it's essential to the
Kudos
to
to
the film.
him. Kudos to him.
What's the best scene?
The best scene, I would say, is I think the Finch running through the school
So
is
funny.
hilarious.
In the girls' room,
Yeah.
they're talking about him at the
I
sinks.
think that's really funny.
It's a really great moment when
Yeah.
he's trying to hold in his shit, and the girls are talking about him. It's just great physical acting.
Mm-hmm.
Really funny. I think the best scene is Stifler's first party. He's sort of like walking around the house and welcoming everybody, being this tastemaker, but also really mean and like a douchebag.
Yeah.
But you get a sense of every clique, every kind of person. It just feels like a real high school party. Like we see so many fantastical versions of high school parties in TV and movies today. That's just like, that's not what it's like. But this is what it's like. There's a bunch of people sitting in different parts of a house, drinking beers, taking shots.
Being a bunch of idiots.
For real.
Legit.
What's the best shot?
I mean, there aren't really any great shots in this film at all.
How dare you?
But I would say I got to go with, I think Jason Biggs running, covered in sweat, down the street is hilarious.
With Blink 182 playing.
I think it's a great shot. It's really funny.
I think my favorite shot is at the prom party at Stifler's mom's beach house or lake house. There's a shot where Jim and Michelle are talking on the couch, and Jim's like trying to get like something saucy out of her, basically, but she keeps talking about band camp and like kissing boys, spin the bottle.
Mm-hmm.
In the background, Stifler's talking to a couple guys, and he's about to take a sip of beer, and then he holds it up and looks at it, and then he's like checks it, and then he sips it, and he smiles and like goes back to his conversation. So it's like a nice little Easter egg in the background, and it's a nice nod. But also, I think I just remembered there's another shot in this movie. It's a long take at prom. A oneer, where they get a shot of every main character at prom, camera moving from table seating to going onto the dance floor. We have Jessica walking by listening to like Led Zeppelin on her headphones.
Yeah, you're right.
But it's a oneer, it gets a shot of everybody. It's a really cool shot.
Yeah, that's a great point. That is a wonder.
Who's the best actor in American Pie?
Best actor, I gotta go with, hold on, let me look at the cast real quick. No one's really exceptional. You go first.
I think Natasha Lyonne is the best at the time in this movie. You know, I think she's like a great voice of reason. She has a lot of confidence on camera. But between her, it's between her and Sean William Scott, because Sean William Scott steals every scene, I think.
Well, he is a scene stealer, but in terms of acting, I think Eugene Levy, overall, he's obviously the most experienced. He's the veteran, and he's in a way commands all of his scenes, and kind of even in the comedy space is a dominating comedic actor. So, and he sells all the scenes with Jim so well. So I would say Eugene Levy is the best actor in the film.
All right, what's the best line in American Pie?
The best line is... Hold on, you go first.
So I picked when Oz and Stifler, they're having this conversation. All the guys are. And, we'll talk about how every guy has their own method of trying to lose their virginity. And Oz is going like the sensitive route. So then they're talking, and Oz goes on being sensitive. He says, you ask them questions and listen to what they have to say and shit. And then Stifler says, I don't know, man. That sounds like a lot of work. It's really offensive.
Just
but really...
like that college girl said, all you gotta do is ask them questions and listen to what they have to say and shit.
It's so funny and so mean.
That's Chris Clyde's best delivery of the film, for sure.
It's hysterical.
I would say, hold on, I didn't prep a quote.
I know. I could tell you didn't do your job today, Anthony. There's too many good ones. Or I think when Eugene Levy, after the pie scene, says, we'll just tell your mother we ate it all.
I gotta go with actually Michelle's line because it's so out of nowhere. She says this one time at band camp because it's set up with all of these really lame responses. This one time at band camp, we played Spin the Bottle. This one time at band camp, blah 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 blah. And then at the party, she goes, this one time at band camp, I put a flute up my pussy.
Jim spits out his beer.
He's like, what? That's because that line's so out of nowhere and it's set up really well. Of just you're expecting something lame to come out.
And then she's on top of him and she says, say my name, bitch. Slaps him in the face.
Oh my God. This movie's crazy.
All right, let's get to our movie quote competition. Are you ready?
Ready. I prepped this.
All right, good. Here's my quote. The weather outside is weather.
That's Paul Rudd. Is it? It's no, wait, it's not Role Models. It's the other one. Yeah, it's Role Models.
Nope.
No, it's the other one. What's the one with the weather
know.
outside is weather? It's the Adam Sandler one.
Nope.
Fuck. What is it?
Forgetting Sarah Marshall.
Oh, Forgetting Sarah Marshall.
The weather outside is weather.
It was Paul Rudd though.
Yeah, it was.
His surfer instructor. You sound like you're from London.
When I got here, I got rid of my watch, man. Oh, why? You don't want to tell time? My phone does the same thing. Oh, okay.
That's a really good movie. All right. Here's mine. Why is he having sex with her belly button? He knows where her vagina is, right?
Oh, my God. What is this? Oh, I think the Disaster Artist. Yes. Someone on set says that, right?
Yeah, someone watching the scene play out.
For The Room. We should do The Room.
Wow, we should do The Room and the Disaster Artist together.
What a great back-to-back double feature, man. All right, guess this movie release year, Anthony, and listeners. What year did My Cousin Vinny come out?
I'm going to go 1996.
1992.
Damn, it's old. It's old.
The hairstyle, man.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. True. All right, what year did the Disaster Artist come out?
2017?
13.
Wow, it's that old?
It's 10 years old.
Holy crap.
Yeah, you're old, man.
God, dude.
You're old.
So are you then. Movie pop quiz time. Anthony and listeners, name 3 SNL sketches that were turned into movies. And this isn't a thing that happens anymore.
Night at the Roxbury.
1.
Fuck.
There are about 9 plus sequels.
Hold on. Blues Brothers.
2.
Fuck. Right off the top of your head, it's tough. SNL skits turn into movies. SNL movies. Fuck. God damn it. Hold on. Hold, please. Hold, please.
Dun, 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 dun,
Oh my God, this is so hard.
You love one of them too.
I'm sure I do. Yeah.
I think it's your favorite comedy.
I'm gonna be pissed if I get it wrong. My favorite comedy?
Yeah. I've heard you say that on the show before.
Damn, and I can't get it. Hold on. No music, man.
Well, I gotta give the listeners. I gotta give everyone something to listen to.
All right, yeah, you're right.
If they can do it on Jeopardy, and they have to come up with something really tough,
mm-hmm.
we should get a timer. 10 more seconds.
Was it Soul Man?
Close.
What's his name? What's the character's name?
I'm not gonna give you the answer.
Shit. Ladies Man.
Yes. So you got 3.
Yes,
ding, 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 ding,
yes,
ding.
I did it.
All right, there you go.
Okay,
Also,
what are the
Anthony
others?
said Night at the Roxbury, The Ladies Man, and The Blues Brothers. There's also The Blues Brothers 2000.
Uh-huh.
Wayne's World.
Oh, Wayne's World.
Superstar.
Superstar with Will Ferrell again, yeah.
Coneheads.
Oh my God, yes.
It's Pat. They made a movie about, remember, it's Pat? Yeah, the androgynous character from SNL back in the 90s.
It's Pat.
It's Pat. And then, you're going to kill yourself. MacGruber!
No, MacGruber!
MacGruber!
That's not my favorite comedy.
You've said that on the show.
No, I haven't. I said I love it.
I feel like you
I've
said.
I've never said it's my favorite.
I think it's
would
my
never
favorite.
say that.
I feel like Anthony said it's my favorite movie of all time, MacGruber.
I've never said it's my favorite comedy. That's a lie.
Someone's going to
You
have
threw
to
me
go
off.
back and find the deep tracks.
MacGruber!
All right.
That was a good question.
Thanks.
Man,
It's fun, right?
Yeah, it's funny. I couldn't think of the other ones, even though I love them. But yeah, I'm glad I got Ladies Man just in time.
Cool.
Okay.
All right.
Who plays Seth Rogen's wife in Neighbors?
What's her name? She has that jazzercise show.
She does.
She's so pretty too. Rose Byrne.
Yes.
Got it.
I thought you would. I didn't think you'd get it.
She's in The Place Beyond the Pines too, right?
She is.
Yeah, she plays Bradley
Bradley
Cooper's
Cooper's
wife.
wife. Yeah.
Got it, man.
You got it, man.
All
You
right.
got it.
Do we have any haters this week or any unsubscribes?
Oh, yeah,
What are we cooking with, Anthony?
We got some good unsubscribes this week. I was taking screenshots all week.
all week. This kid was taking
Week.
screenshots.
So many. Hold on 1 second.
Get in there, man. Get in there.
Getting in there, dog.
I'm
Okay.
gonna get a 5-star review ready.
Sorry, 1 sec. Okay. This is a good one. So we had trouble with our movie news episode posting on Spotify and Apple. And so Alexander Amaya wrote, why is the episode not on Spotify? I said, up now, sorry. Then they just wrote, unsubscribed.
Yeah, sometimes there's just delays, and we're kind of at the mercy of podcast platforms for posting the episode.
Yeah, it happens sometimes. And then Sophie Burrows on Patreon on our most underrated movies of all time, which you can listen to ad-free. She wrote, if Molly's Game isn't on this episode, I will unsubscribe. So I did like 20 side eyes of like, oh yeah, we did put it in there. Sorry, Sophie, but I hope you enjoyed the episode.
Forgot it.
Awkward.
What else you got?
Hold on, I guess. Okay. Apocalypse Later wrote.
It's a good name. Apocalypse Later.
But it's L8R. Apocalypse Later.
I'm busy now.
Most underrated movies ever episode wrote, all right, that's it. For years I've listened to you two pronounce Ari wrong, and I've held my tongue, but you say it awry. That's James. If I hear it one more time, I'm unsubscribed. And I replied, fill an origin story.
Ari, I say awry?
You say awry.
Sorry. It's one of those weird words. A-W-R-Y.
It's everybody has their words that they struggle with. That's one that you struggle with.
That's a mean way to put it.
It's not mean. I'm just being honest. It's an honest way to put
Sure,
it.
you struggle with some words too. Yeah,
I
we both
struggle with noir.
Noir and outlier. Say outlier.
Outlier. I don't know what you're talking about.
When you read it though, you say outlier.
I don't know what you're talking about. Next up, the JRP 2010 wrote, Sonic's shoes? Those were Shadow the Hedgehog shoes. Unsubscribed.
Wow, Anthony.
I said, and I replied, sorry, I don't know Sonic lore.
I got Tails, Sonic, and Knuckles.
It's been a minute. I didn't even know who Shadow was, but yeah, they teased Shadow at the end of the last Sonic, I remember, in like that lab. Damn, there's another really good one. I think I can't find it. It roasted you specifically. But yeah, I can't find it. I thought I took a screenshot of it, but I must have been mistaken. Too bad. I'll find it while you go through that review.
Cool. All right. So we have a great review from Lexi7713, 5 stars on Apple Podcasts. Again, you can leave this on Apple anytime.
Thanks.
Oh, no. I didn't say
No,
that.
thanks to them. 5 stars is awesome.
Amazing film and TV podcast. I should have written a review sooner rather than later. Their content is not only amazing, but relatable, yet adds depth into cinema I didn't even know to add. I thought I was a movie TV buff, but these guys take the cake. It's so hard to find podcast content that can make it fun to watch and to listen to. I love sharing their content with family and friends. I even made another social media account just to follow them again.
Oh, amazing.
That doesn't scream ultimate movie and TV podcast. I don't know what does. Lexi has another account just to follow us. Everyone, that's the bar, everybody. Lexi just set the bar. Y'all need to get your own accounts, burner accounts, just to listen to the content. Thank you, Lexi. That's really sweet.
That's really great. I love that. Thanks, Lexi.
All right, what are we on to next? Streaming recommendation? What do you got?
My streaming recommendation is LA Confidential, which is on Netflix now. I love it. I see it every couple of years. Every couple of years I'll watch it, and it always is just a great watch. classic noir with this contemporary cast, and I love Guy Pearson. I love Russell Crowe in it, Kim Basinger. So there's so many great actors in this film. Really excellent movie all around.
I have Wayne's World, which is on Max right now. It's a classic from the 90s, 1992. We have just a great sketch from SNL that was consistent for a while and turned into a great movie that had also an awesome sequel. But, I mean, Wayne's World's iconic for the 90s. Give it a rewatch on Max.
I got it. I found it.
You found it?
Yes. So it's because he didn't write unsubscribe, so I didn't screenshot it, but I remember reading it. So Levi Bulger wrote, someone ought to politely tell that guy how certain things are pronounced. James Caan's name is mispronounced. The name Imogene is said wrong. And even words like Arai, Ari, there's a couple others, but I'm not trying to make a list.
I'm not trying. You should
you
make
called
a
her
list.
Imogen.
Imogen?
Yeah, you said that the other day.
Imogen Poots?
Yeah, it's Imogene.
Imogene.
That's how you say that
Bro,
name.
doing my best here.
And you said James Caan. It's Can.
I'm going to can you from the show.
Sounds like I should can you because you can't pronounce anything correctly.
All right, Outlier.
Where's the evidence of Outlier?
Anyways, let's get back in. We have every episode. Every episode Anthony says Outlier. Let's get back into American Pie. Now, I'd like to start off with each boy's plan to get their virginity card taken away from them and, lose their virginity.
Sure.
So Kevin's plan again, he upset Vicky, obviously, and she should be upset with him. He said something mean and rude, saying, I'm sick of these third base. I got to get laid nowadays. And he's trying to, get her to forgive him, sending her flowers, saying the right things. But then, obviously, he gets help from Jessica. You need to give her something in return. You either give the big O or the big L. And then eventually they want it to happen at prom. Oz's plan is to get in touch with his sensitive sign and find a choir girl. These choir chicks are hot. It's an untapped resource. Jim is the most hopeless. His plan is basically everything. He's shooting shots with Nadia. He's got the online dating app with the webcam photo. And then after he gets humiliated by everybody, his plan is, all right, I'll go to prom with this band girl who apparently doesn't know what happened to me on the net. And then Finch, his is the most advanced, I guess you could say. He pays Jessica $200 to
the best plan.
Make a bunch of grand lies about him. Some of them that he's well endowed. Some that he has a tattoo with eagles and fire. Some of the lies are that he's had an affair with an older woman. Some are that he beat up Stifler. And Stifler
the
calls
scars
him,
are healed.
And so Stifler, he has a date for the prom, but she ends up saying that, Finch might ask me, so I can't go to prom with you.
If Finch is going stag, I'm going stag.
So they all have their own, basically, path and plan for how they're going to lose their virginity.
I would say Finch's was the best until Stifler got him back.
Yeah, probably.
Because rumors and gossip spread like wildfire. And then also, having tattoos is so cool in high school.
Yeah, I remember the first couple, when you turn 18, a couple of kids get the tattoos. You're like, oh my God, that's
they have a tattoo.
So awesome.
That's amazing.
Yeah, some people are quick to it. But I guess in terms of the plans, Jim I feel most sorry for, even though he does do something terrible, putting Nadia on the internet. But, Jim's completely hopeless.
He's happy at the end, though. He got used.
I
would say Oz's plan, even though it was a plan, it turned him into a better human being.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I think Oz is the person, without a doubt, who actually changed as a person and grew and became a better person than at the start of the film.
One of my favorite moments of the movie, I think it's so hysterical, it kind of flies under the radar, is for me, it's a comedic beat, but maybe not for most people. So Kevin and Vicky, they finally have love. Kevin says, I love you to Vicky, and Vicky says, I love you back, and they have sex at prom. It's perfect. They have a beautiful night together. And then in the morning, Vicky's like, it's not going to work out. I don't think it's not going to work out.
Post-nut clarity.
Yeah, so basically, she's like, we're going to be so far away at school, but immediately she's like, nah, not for me, bro. So was he that bad?
If he was great, they would have stayed together.
But it's the morning of, I just realized it's not going to work out.
He's like, what do you mean?
We can make it work. She's like, no, I don't want to ever see you again.
He definitely sucked.
Poor guy.
And also, speaking of location, this film is set in Ann Arbor, Michigan, but it was actually shot in Long Beach in Southern California. It was using the Long Beach School District area high schools. Millikan High School, whose school colors are blue and gold, was used for the exterior shots, and then Long Beach Polytechnic High was used for the interiors. And I was like, this movie looks like Jennifer's body.
I said it looked like Santa Monica, but it's Long Beach. Yeah, it's Long Beach, yeah.
And this is supposed to be set in Michigan. That's something that, throws you off. They should have just said it in LA because everybody's dressed in warm attire, warm weather attire. It doesn't make sense for Michigan setting. Like, it should be pretty cold at night.
I guess, yeah. That's a good point. But
It throws you off.
Ambiguous location, ambiguous weather, you know. It is what it is.
It's not as bad as, like, you know, The Office. There are actually palm trees in the background of The Office.
What I like about this movie is, you know, peer pressure is a theme in American Pie, but it's not really about drugs or alcohol, really. It's just because that's not a main focus of the movie. The peer pressure is I have to have sex, which is maybe the strongest form of peer pressure, maybe makes people feel the most insecure a lot of times. You know, sex, drugs, and alcohol are a huge component of being a teenager, whether you partake or not. And by the end of the film, there's a great lesson of not giving into peer pressure because they make this pact. And at prom, Kevin's being a crybaby because the other guys aren't taking the pact seriously anymore. They don't really care about it anymore. Jim's sick of worrying about sex and being obsessed with sex. And at least my date, Michelle, she has something to talk about. She has something else to talk about besides sex. Oz is just really focused. He's really falling for Heather. He doesn't really care about having sex with her anymore. And then Finch is he's just giving up. He's like, I've been humiliated, whatever. I'm just going out about my night.
Yeah.
But Kevin's the only one that's still obsessed with having sex. And he turns into a little crybaby. He's pouting on the steps.
He's a brat.
He's getting what he wants, but because it's not going to be a group activity, I guess, he's afraid to have sex without the other guys partaking in it as well.
I got to be honest. I would say Kevin is the most unlikable character in the movie.
Me too.
Even though he's like the leader of the friend group, I think he's so unlikable.
Yeah, when he's like pouting on the steps, I'm like,
Yeah.
grow
up, man.
Your girlfriend said you're going to have sex with her finally. This
Yeah.
is what you wanted.
Dude,
You're getting
Jesus.
everything you want, and you're crying about it. But because he's afraid. He's afraid to have sex without his friends doing it too. But I think it's an important part of the peer pressure where some people, they're afraid to do something on their own. They need other people to do it with them.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree.
Whether it's sex, whether it's drugs, whether it's anything.
Yeah, 100%. And there's some just like little things in this movie, set design or whatever, little jokes. Like, I love the family photo of Stifler and his mom. The family photo is like, she's just got like his fist under his hand like a kid.
And she's got like a glamour photo of herself.
It's hilarious. He looks like he's in a child's pose, but it's Sean William Scott.
Yeah. There's so many fun little comedic beats as well, like the band at the prom, it's Arabian Nights, and they have like really offensive Arabian outfits on.
And they say, hey, we're going to take a break. You're beautiful. And everyone's like, you suck.
And then the Shermanator, he's a great side character too because Sherman's a bigger dork than the crew. He's bigger dork than Jim, than Finch.
She's the catalyst for them making the plan.
Exactly. And then somehow the Shermanator, who calls himself a sex robot, sent back in time from the future, from the past, to change the fate of one lucky lady. He apparently sleeps with a girl at Stifler's party from a different high school. And everyone thinks that he's now lost his virginity. I can't be alive anymore now that Sherman, the Shermanator, has lost his virginity before me. But then he gets what he deserves. He gets what's coming to him after lying to the whole school about having sex with this girl. This girl humiliates him on stage, telling him that he wets his pants when he gets nervous and they never had sex with each other. And then he pees his pants in front of everybody. Again, another situation where a guy in American Pie tries to take advantage of a girl and gets karma put on him and he gets humiliated.
Gets what he
basically.
deserves.
So every guy who tries to take advantage of a girl in American Pie gets humiliated to a huge extent.
Doesn't he hook up with Nadia in the last movie?
I think in number 2.
The Shermanator spiel works on her and she loves it.
In number 2, because Jim is in love with Michelle.
They're dating.
Because Nadia comes back.
Yeah.
And Nadia wants to sleep with Jim, but Jim's like still into Michelle.
Yeah.
And Jim turns down Nadia, and then she's sad, and then the Shermanator's around.
Yeah. Is it believable that Nadia is into Jim?
I don't know.
Some girls like the nerdy guy, I guess.
I guess, there could be something about it. Some people like...
Well, it's not that he's nerdy, it's that, like, he's...
naive and innocent.
Yeah, and he doesn't know how to talk. Like, when he walks up to her and her friends at the party, he just starts laughing with them, and he's like, ah! And they're like, what the fuck is wrong with this guy?
But yeah, she does seem to be unnecessarily into Jim. But I guess some people are into that.
But the thing is, like, he doesn't really do anything to attract her at all.
Yeah.
Except for being really weird.
Catalyst.
Yeah. It's
Plot.
a movie. Yeah.
It's funny.
Like, if he had done something that, like, made her interested, I get that. But, like, he literally did nothing to interest her.
Hey, sometimes you can't control who you're attracted to,
Yeah, I guess.
I think that maybe that just factors in. Just a little suspension of disbelief that Nadia would be into Jim.
Yeah. Agreed. Yeah.
You gotta let it out. You know, it's part of the movie.
And I love when Eugene Levy brings her into his room. He's like, "Yeah, this is where he
He's a bookworm.
He's
a real
bookworm.
bookworm.
Studied all the time. Study worm." And he's like so proud. He's like, "You got a girl in your room."
Jim and his dad have some of the best scenes in the movie. Obviously, the opening with the sock, which is super embarrassing, but also when his dad comes in and discovers the condoms in Jim's drawer. He's like, "Oh, safer than a tomb sock."
He brings in the porno magazines too, and he's like describing them. It's almost like it's a flower underwater.
Yeah, so you can see in this particular magazine, they paid specific attention to the breasts, and I love how he's
like they're used for nursing infants.
And when he's leaving his room, "I'm gonna leave these books here with you, son."
He calls them books.
And then the first time he does the birds and the bees talk, and they're both very embarrassed by the situation. And Jim's dad's like, "Well," and Jim's like upset about it. And Jim's dad's like, "Well, listen, I'm sorry. I'm trying to do the best I can right now. You know, I don't want to be doing this either." And then after he's like, "I'm sorry, I shouldn't have gotten riled up in there."
And like you said earlier, he revised all of his lines because he didn't like the script for his character. And there's during the porno mag scene, you can see Jason Biggs is holding back laughter because they just did it in a 2-shot, and he's trying not to laugh because Eugene's probably coming up with that on the spot.
Eugene
great.
Levy is hysterical in this movie, but he's perfect. I think even if you had Bill Murray, it wouldn't have worked as well as Eugene.
I don't think Bill would have worked as well. I don't think so because the dad needs to be because Bill Murray's cool.
He's Bill Murray.
Yeah.
Like, if he's in a movie in a small role like this, you just can't get over the fact that it's Bill Murray.
But Eugene Levy seems like Jim's dad.
Seems like a real dad.
Yeah, but he seems like Jim's dad.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Like, I love when he's giving Jim that hug to go off to prom. You can see, like, maybe Jim's dad was like him when he was young. Like, he finally lost his virginity, but maybe he was just like Jim. He sees a lot of himself in his son.
Your Uncle Peter, he strokes the one-eyed snakes 5-6 times a day.
It's ridiculous.
I'm so glad that Eugene Levy blew up recently with the TV show, and then his son Dan Levy is really great too. So it's really nice to see that both of them, they're having career for Eugene Levy resurgence, then for Dan Levy career growth because their show is really fantastic.
Yeah, it's cool. I mean, to also be able to work with your son, that must be really exciting.
Yeah,
the Levy family, they're really funny.
It's funny, like they
people.
blew up, and then Jennifer Coolidge recently blew up as well. So and then Natasha Lyonne with her TV show.
But Allison Hannigan, man, How I Met Your Mother was huge.
Yeah,
she was a huge star.
It was her and Sean William Scott were the most successful after post this movie.
Yeah, out of the gate, they really took off. Sean William Scott was huge for 10 years. He was in a bunch of movies. I mean, he was with The Rock in a movie. He was Dukes of Hazzard.
Yeah, Dukes of Hazzard. You're right.
Yeah.
The Rundown.
Yeah, he was in a bunch of stuff.
And then Chris Klein. Hollywood it didn't work for him. He was the lead in Rollerball, the remake of the 80s film. And
that was just not a good movie.
And then I think he led another movie, and then there was just like, he's not a lead actor chops.
He has the look to an extent. He might be like a little too dreamy looking, like too Sinatra looking. Maybe a little old. His style and his look, it's too classic, I think, for a leading man. Like if you put him in like the 1940s, he's got the look for a star back then.
I would say, I think you might be right. And Thomas Ian Nicholas, like I said, he was one of the least talented actors in this film, even though he was a child star. Kid in King Arthur's Court, Rookie of the Year, great baseball movie.
But how sweet it is to be loved by you. Okay. Scooby-Dooby-Doo.
That's Chris Klein, though.
I know, it just popped in my head.
Literally not talking about him.
I felt like blending it up, man. It came from the heart.
Anyways, Thomas Ian Nicholas, he had a successful career early on. And he didn't have the chops to be an actor in Hollywood for like big things. So I think for some actors, like these sequels were important to them, maintaining their presence in Hollywood. Tara Reid's the same thing because after this, it was really just Sharknado for her.
Van Wilder.
Oh yeah, Van Wilder. First dates are interviews.
But Van Wilder, it's funny, but it's all gross out humor.
It's really nasty.
A lot more crude,
yeah.
Which is why I think I like American Pie better because there's gross out humor, but it's really a couple scenes. Like I said, it's the beer scene and then Finch's diarrhea.
But what's funny is John Cho's in American Pie and then Cal Penn's in Van Wilder.
Yeah.
And then we got Harold and Kumar after.
Is John Cho in Van Wilder?
No, not that I remember. It's just Cal.
I haven't seen that movie
Cal
in quite
Penn
a while.
plays
Cal.
his roommate.
Yeah. Oh my, the foreign exchange student, right?
Foreign exchange student, yeah.
Man. Hollywood in the 90s, man.
I think I've had these before.
Look at me. You're the best. Star.
No, look at me. Pro. Oh my God.
But I mean, yeah, some of the actors in this movie, they're not great. Some of them are really good, but it works at the end of the day. It's a nostalgic movie, especially with the wardrobe, the big jeans, the button-up short sleeve shirts.
Oh my God.
Not like the style that's today where it's a lot like more fitting. It was just very big clothing back then.
The thing is, nowadays when you watch contemporary movies, whether it be high schoolers or young kids, they seem so stylish to the point where it's like, yeah, that's what it's like on Instagram, but like in
$400 outfit to high school.
We live near a high school. They all wear jeans and hoodies every day. Like that's all they wear. Like
nowadays it's pajamas. Yeah, everyone wears pajamas to school.
Flannel pajama pants. Like that's what kids wear at school. But like when you see it on TV or movies, you're like, this is just like so hyper stylized. I feel like they're not really capturing how kids dress anymore on screen.
Yeah, because when we were growing up in elementary school, then leading into high school, jeans were still really common. When we were going to high school, that's when sweatpants became the norm for a lot of kids going to high school. But jeans in the 90s were still the go-to. Jeans and cargo pants.
Baggy jeans and cargo pants.
Cargo pants. So people weren't ever wearing sweatpants really to school back then.
So I really do feel that they don't get clothing right in movies anymore for kids. They don't. I think it's too.
Well, they can't.
They style it like they're fashion models half the time.
No, I know. I agree. But at the same time, you can't just have a movie with everyone in
exactly.
pajamas.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, But again, like
that's just
they got it right in this movie.
It's American contemporary style.
Yeah.
Like
it's gotten more casual.
It's way more casual,
especially when you're going to school and you don't give a shit.
You're wearing slippers to school sometimes.
They do. Yeah, you're right. They walk by our house and they're wearing like literally like flannel sweatpants in a hoodie to school. Like, you're going to school like that? Damn, you guys don't give a shit at all.
Our parents wouldn't have let us leave the house like that going to school.
Yeah, we wouldn't have been.
Maybe on like the Friday, we would have like one Friday a month. There was
dress down day.
Yeah, something like
dress
that.
Dress down day was a day where you wore pajamas.
Yeah, you could wear it. But it was like, even if it was a public school, you still were expected to, like, wear some jeans or something. Wear some pants.
Yeah.
Or if it's hot, like, yes.
But remember cargo pants?
Yeah, cargo pants.
Cargo pants were a thing. So you had cargo shorts, and you also had cargo pants with like 16 pockets on them.
Yeah.
They're great.
The hairstyles, too. Jim's hairstyle is perfect in this movie.
Stifler had the spiky, the cowlick.
Chris Klein, Oz has like the dreamy like part, the 90s
hair.
part. Yeah, the 90s part. I got the curls out nowadays sometimes.
That's true, yeah.
Sometimes it parts. And it's just, I think it's really authentic to the way kids dress, though, at the time.
Same, I agree.
The girls aren't over-sexualized with their wardrobe. It's just normal clothing.
Yeah, I completely agree. I think 10 minutes into the movie, I was like, oh, the clothing's really good. It does feel like 90s high school clothing.
Absolutely.
For sure. Although it's not Michigan, it's definitely L.A.
Michigan in the summer.
I don't know. It's still L.A. style. Regions have different styles.
Well, I mean, I didn't live in L.A. in the 90s. I don't know what it was like.
Me either. You're right.
It's jeans and button-ups. It was the style, man.
I guess
that was just pop culture style. It was like MTV.
MTV, bro.
It
was in sync.
I don't know what LA was like here. It was probably the same as everywhere else for the most part, except just like the surfer crowds and the beach crowds.
Yeah, I'm sure they had more skater, surfer boom here before we did.
Dude, the 90s was the skater boom everywhere. Yeah. Everyone was wearing this.
I wore skater clothes. I didn't even skate.
So this is perfect.
DC shoes, Etnies.
Yeah, you're acting like different cities wore different outfits.
Oh, you're right. You're right.
We all shopped at the same stores at the same
malls.
We
all looked at the same magazines.
It was PacSun. And Sears,
Hot Topic,
Macy's. It was all the same clothes everywhere we went.
We got a lot of clothes at Sears.
That's why Americans all look the same. They all dress in the same clothes, same blue jeans. Remember the blue jeans, the baggy ones? They would have like that little kind of what would you call it? Like you could
the hook.
It's like kind of a
holster.
Hook. You could put like a hammer in it, but it would be there in your jeans.
So they had carpenter jeans have those, whether they be canvas jeans or denim jeans, canvas pants or denim jeans. They have this little loop, not a loop, but like a handle in a way. It's like a strap.
Yeah, strap.
A strap. And then, so they're built so a carpenter or a contractor can put a hammer there so they don't have to put it in their pocket, but they can holster it in a way.
But just became one of those things.
They started putting them on jeans, and you just bought jeans with them. And you never even, it was just like a strap there. And you're like, you did nothing with it. It was just there.
I also love this movie because you're watching it and there's no smartphones. There's really no technology besides Jim's computer and the webcam. And it's really refreshing to look back on because I think we have the best of both worlds growing up pre-internet, pre-smartphone, pre-digital technology to a huge extent. And because we know what it was like before then. And, this is what it was like. You interacted with people so much more And your friendships in person were so much more important to you, and these cliques were like everything.
If you wanted to talk to your friends, you had to see your friends. You couldn't talk to them any time of the day.
Like Jim gets humiliated on the webcam, and then in the morning, that's when Kevin and
Tells
Finch,
them what happened.
They come up to him, they make fun of him.
yeah.
It's like that's the first time they've talked since last night,
Yeah.
since the webcam. So they haven't even seen each other until the morning.
There's also another fashion thing that I would have liked to see is a wallet chain.
Yeah,
There's no wallet chains in this movie.
Maybe the bandmates in that sequence had.
They
them.
had one of them has to have a chain because there is always a bunch of kids with a chain, especially if they were punks or skaters or goth kids. If you shopped at Hot Topic, you had wallet chain for sure.
Yeah. Man, I love American Pie. It's an offensive movie. You know, some parts haven't aged well, but it's still hysterical.
It's pretty good still.
The
It's
comedy
pretty good.
still hits.
Yeah.
And again, it's full of life lessons that are really important. And, you know, its heart is in the right place. And like we've said multiple times, guys are trying to take advantage of girls in this movie for the wrong reasons. And whenever they try to, something bad happens to them. So they get what they deserve every time in this movie. It's not promoting to take advantage of girls in these terrible ways, because every time something happens where, again, the webcam, Jim gets humiliated by orgasming in his pants in front of the whole school twice.
Sherman lying about hooking up with a girl and he pees his pants in front of everyone. Yeah.
Stifler drinking the semen beer. Everyone gets punished for taking advantage of a girl, trying to take advantage of a girl.
Good point. Yeah.
So I think that's important.
I didn't realize
that.
I didn't remember that stuff. I didn't realize that they got like humiliated. All of them did.
It's smart.
Yeah,
it makes
works.
sense, and it's right. You know, it should happen like that, because that's the lesson.
It doesn't encourage it at all.
You shouldn't
Yeah.
take advantage of women to try to get laid.
And I gotta say, the movie isn't as bad as I thought it was.
It's
a
freaking
lot.
awesome.
It's a lot better than I thought it was. It's still pretty funny. I was cracking up.
I had a great time watching.
Yeah, there's some really great comedy in this, and it does work. And it other than the webcam sequence, the rest of the movie does age fine.
But the webcam sequence does get hysterical.
Yeah, it does get very funny.
The first couple minutes, it's very awkward, and I was laughing the whole movie until this part when he turns on the webcam.
Yeah, we were like,
oh my God.
I was like, should we be doing this episode?
This is too much, but I think it's important to talk about because they punish Jim.
Yeah.
They punish everybody.
Agreed.
All right. And again, the male gaze, the fantasy of an exchange student in your bed masturbating to your dirty magazines. That's never going to happen.
Yeah.
But that's part of just the movie. You know, it is what it is.
It's a movie.
But I think all kinds of people enjoyed this movie. They did. It's proof the box offices, the
success is crazy. Yeah.
$230 million box office. Everyone liked this movie.
That's wild.
Men and women, girls and boys.
A comedy making that much.
That's what it used to be like.
Damn,
man.
that's crazy.
All right, that wraps our episode on American Pie. Thank you so much for tuning into this episode of Raiders of the Lost Podcast. Again, become a patron at patreon.com/Raiders of the Lost Podcast. Link in the description of the episode. Leave those 5-star ratings on Spotify and Apple, and share us with your family and friends. Take care, everybody.
See you next time.
This episode was executive produced by our chosen one patrons, Cody Moen, Andrew Hagan, Becca Keene, Benjamin Cook, Calvin Murphy Griggs, Nicholas Martin, Darian Singleton, Tyler McFly, Andrew Hagan. Our chosen one patrons are our biggest supporters. Thank you so much. Raiders of the Lost Podcast is a mirror image production. Sound mixing done by Jacob Kossler. Opening music by Chase Jackson.